Did President Obama's apology for the burning of Korans in Afghanistan make matters worse? That's the charge being issued by some today as the protests and violence continues, days after the White House attempted to extend an olive branch. The holy books were sent to the trash and burned because detainees had reportedly been writing extremist messages in them. Since then, deadly violence has raged across that country, some Afghans even turning on the very U.S. troops that had been working alongside of them. Syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer now among those asking whether President Obama's apology did more harm than good.
I think what's happened over the last few days is definitive evidence of how ineffective the apology has been. If I thought the apology would save one American life, I'd swallow hard and say it's all right for the president to go ahead and to do it. But he did do it, and it did not soothe the savage mob. In fact, it intensified the violence.
Joining me now, Leslie Marshall, a syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor, and Lars Larson, our syndicated radio host with Compass Media Networks. Thank you both so much for being here. So we're hearing more and more of this, and it's not just Charles Krauthammer. Many are starting to say, A, he shouldn't apologize in the first place, but B, this other point that it's made things worse because it's made us look like we did something wrong. Your take on it, Leslie?
Well, when George W. Bush, during his administration, made the decision to apologize when there was a Quran that was riddled with American bullets, he did so as the leader of the free world, basically saying, I know this was wrong. It was a diplomatic move. I agreed with him doing it during that administration, and I am a Democrat. I agree with our president doing it now. We cannot, as we know, and hindsight's always 20/20, say that an apology, given or not, is responsible for the violence when the violence is coming from fanatical-minded individuals over this. Right now, in Afghanistan, a lot of the people are viewing Americans as occupiers because we're there longer and longer, and they're angry. And this is one of the ways, unfortunately, very violent. I do not agree with it. No one should. That they are taking out their wrath and their anger. In my opinion, this has nothing to do with the apology or not of this or any president, regardless of their party.
Lars, President Obama apologized in a letter on February 23rd. The next day was the worst of the day's violence. It was the worst of the violence we've seen in connection with this incident. 6 protesters killed, 65 wounded. More were killed over the weekend. 9 people in a military attack, all related, they say, to this Quran burning. Yep. So there is a question about, I mean, whether it would have been more without the apology or whether we would have had any of it if he hadn't apologized.
Megan, you know, I've always said that Charles Krauthammer is one of the brightest minds out there. He's absolutely right, and we've been saying since last week on my radio show that this added fuel to the fire. The president threw gasoline on this situation, and was it any surprise that Leslie had to invoke the name of Bush, since he's to blame for virtually every problem on planet Earth?
He's not
the fact is that a number of mistakes were made here. And let's put it this way. Do you remember during the Bush administration, Leslie, when you and your friends said when something happened on the night shift at Abu Ghraib prison that was not an official policy of the government, it was George Bush and Donald Rumsfeld's fault? Well, who do you see among the media now saying this is the president's fault, his defense secretary? A bad call was made by a military commander to, instead of sending these books, these Korans, back to Langley to be analyzed for whatever content they might have in those messages from the detainees, they were thrown in a trash dump. Now, that was an innocent mistake and an unintentional slight to the religion. By the president coming out and saying, we're wrong, we apologize, we're sorry, and not just once, he did it twice, and he called the second one a severe apology, whatever that means. I didn't go to Harvard, so I don't understand what a severe apology is. But the fact is, he made the situation worse, and there were mistakes on the ground, and he's the commander-in-chief. So why isn't he being called on this?
Leslie, another point that we're hearing from some, including Rush Limbaugh, is that when you have repeated apologies, and you know that folks on the right believe President Obama is they call him a serial apologist and so on, that it undermines the effectiveness of the apology. Here's Rush on that point. Take a listen.
Obama doesn't help this along by apologizing left and right over and over. Like Victor Davis Hanson points out in National Review. Look, an apology may be one time if it's done right in the right place, the right time, and the right tone and tenor might have an impact. But when you just do it again and again and again, all you eventually say about yourself is that you're a weakling joke. And that's what Obama's doing. I think it's just absurd.
Any truth to that?
Well, this is coming from a man who wants this president to fail, so I'm not surprised at this remark.
Oh,
no,
Leslie.
I don't agree with that. And Lars, seriously, I'm not blaming Bush, and I didn't blame Bush, and I don't like when this administration blames Bush, and you know that, and I said that with you right here. What I'm asking, yes, but how come you did not invoke his name in anger and call him out if you felt it was wrong? I agree with both presidents apologizing. Do you disagree with both presidents apologizing? Same country for the same reason, which is we are being diplomatic in saying we have troops over there. We respect your culture, your religion. We are not occupying your country. You're not our 51st state, nor do we desire it to become that. And I think both presidents were right in making the apology.
Megan, there's a much more serious issue here, too, because Hamid Karzai has said, I want you to find the people who burned these Korans. Again, unintended slight and a mistake. But I want you to find these people, and I want you to put them on trial, and I want you to punish them. What does he expect Obama to do? Say we're going to behead the guys who burned these Korans?
Well, that's not going to happen. We just looked into that with our Pentagon producer, and we are being told that that's not going to happen. We're not going to subject our troops to any sort of trial in Afghanistan. It's for us to look into what our troops did.
But Megan, I'm sure there may be some discipline on the people who made mistakes within our ranks, but the president should also respond to Hamid Karzai and say, we are not going to accede to your demands that we put our people on trial for this thing that was unintentional. And the president is silent, as usual.
What about, I mean, is this changing the feeling about Afghanistan in this country on the right? When it comes to that war. I want to just give you a sample quickly of, here's Rush again and Newt Gingrich. Listen to what they've been saying.
It's gotten to the point where, why are we there? If this is the end result of us being there, let's get these people out, bring them home, and the hell with the place over there.
We're not going to fix Afghanistan. It's not possible. These are people who have spent several thousand years hating foreigners. And what we've done by staying is become the new foreigners. And this is a real problem. And there's some problems what you have to do is say, you know, you're going to have to figure out how to live your own miserable life. Because I'm not here, because you clearly don't want to learn from me how to be unmiserable.
Leslie?
Megan?
You know what? I was against going into Afghanistan then. I'm against being there now, and at least I'm not being a hypocrite because Mr. Limbaugh and Lars, perhaps you, keep changing their mind depending on the political ideology and platform of the president in office with regard to foreign affairs and wars and military conflicts we're involved in.
Lars?
Leslie, are you really telling us that in the fall of 2001, with the ashes still hot at the site at Ground Zero, that you were saying we should not go after the people who did this and hunt them down and smoke them out?
That's not what I said.
No, you're saying that?
That's not what I said.
You were opposed to that?
No.
Well,
I'm
I got to tell you
opposed to the way
something.
that we did it, dropping bombs and then food. I thought it was foolish.
To answer Megan's question, though, there is a lot of we are changing our minds to some extent about this. And here's the other problem. If the population of Afghanistan is this opposed to us after what we've done for that country in allowing it to gain its independence and be liberated from the Taliban that was running it, fine. We should pack up and get out because it's clear that these people will take something like the burning of a book, which is perhaps taken as an insult, and end up slaughtering people over it. We should not be part of that.
All right, I got to leave it at that, but it was a very good debate. Thank you both so much.
Thank you, Megan.
Thanks, Ed.
Well,